The techno-occultists are in pursuit of becoming cyber vampires. They make a Faustian bargain in order to enjoy their earthly domains. Figures like Noah Yuval, Ray Kurzweil, and even to an extent Elon Musk want to embrace technology in order to extend their lives, to become transhuman. What they fail to understand is that mortality is a gift, and even the gods envy this gift. Mortality gives us the fire to act in this world. Without the ever-falling sands of time, we have no push, no drive, no need to move forward. It is the knowledge of death that makes humans so powerful. Why do we need to live forever? Why do we need to continue to witness all of our world's history? I, for one, will embrace my mortality. I will turn my back on whatever type of life extension that is given to me. Not that it will. Because, of course, these technologies, they will be hoarded by the elite. Their soyance fans, their underlings, fail to recognize, and will always fail to recognize, that they will not have access to the cybernetic technology that will make them quote-unquote immortal. It will be hoarded to those techno-occultists like Yuval and his ilk in order to further enhance their control over humanity's destiny. But even though they pursue this, it is fruitless. They will die. Every single one of them will die. I will make a prediction in that all these life extension obsessed people will die. Brian Johnson, for example, he is amongst the most popular of these types. He's being blasted all over the place, and people are celebrating him like he's achieved some sort of greatness because he looks like a boy man at the age of 50 or whatever he is. This man is afraid to go outside if the air quality is too poor. What kind of life is that? What kind of world is that? That is not life affirming. That is anti-life. Imagine being controlled by the air quality. That is the most pathetic thing I've ever heard in my life. If I want to go outside, I'm going outside. If I want to have a drink, I'm going to have a drink. If I even want to have a cigarette from time to time, I will do that. Because guess what? I already know I'm going to die. I have always admired those who live fast. One of my favorite characters of all time is Valerian from Conan the Barbarian. She is over it. She's accepted her fate as a mortal, and because of this, she has freed herself from the fear of death, and she lives life through her own way, her own will. Her greatest line in that movie is, "What, do you want to live forever?" And that is what I ask all these transhumanist wannabes is, you really think you want to live forever? I know I don't. I've already lost enough people to want an end to it all eventually. I do not want to live in the domain of my memory for all eternity, grasping at straws, trying to squeeze every last ounce of enjoyment out of this world I can. In terms of the material pleasures of Midgard, I have already squeezed out the juice. I have already enjoyed all the pleasures that could be enjoyed in terms of the hedonistic variety. I have ascended that And I'm moving on to bigger and better things, more important things, things that have more consequence than just mere juice squeezing in this world. And you too, if you're not already at that point, you will get to that point as well. Maybe slower or maybe quicker than others, but eventually you will get to the point where your needs are satisfied in terms of how much earthly pleasures you want to partake in this realm. And people say that these, especially in the right hand path types of people, that these desires are never ending. They never cease to be, but I completely disagree. I feel as though the older I get, the less I need to chase after these types of pursuits, and I look to things of a higher meaning. I look to chase after things that make me feel alive in different ways, different sorts of actions. I don't need to go to a club or a bar or a date or what have you. I've already been there and done that. Lifetime's over. And so now I look to the Hyperborean sphere and to the stage in my life where it's more about action and knowledge and inward exploration rather than seeking the pleasures of these life. These types like Noah, clearly he just is a hedonist and he thinks that he's going to be able to enjoy the earthly hedonism pleasures for all eternity, and he's not. Even if he did, they would become stale after a while, even for somebody like him. And once it becomes stale, then what are you left with? You're just left with your materialist, atheistic, technocratic worldview that's supposed to light your fire for the rest of eternity. I think what you'll find is the people who do, if it even is possible to do this, they will lock themselves in their own hell. Uploading your consciousness will be a sort of hell that you'll never be able to escape. And I, for one, will never do such a thing. I will die like everybody else, like all my ancestors before me did. And I believe my descendants will as well follow this path. This is like the commodification of being human. Treating the body and mind as an asset to be modified, enhanced, or traded. Do you really want your body to be some sort of Pokemon card or PC build you can update? Oh, I'm just going to get my RAM. I'm going to get my 64 RAM upgraded to 128 so I can really just stream World of Warcraft Classic release XX52, the 500th rendition of the Classic release for the 500th time, and I can now stream that in my mind in 12K. Do you really want to continue down this path forever? How many reiterations of World of Warcraft do people need to play until they let it go? You become a technological commodity in a marketplace, and do you really want to start trading your eye on Temu? Do you really want to sell your ear on Amazon or buy a different ear on Amazon? That sounds like hell. It sounds like something. I mean, and I guarantee you people will do this. They will, be swapping in and out, my hand and your hand. But for me and the concept of blood memory, I do not want to mess at all with that domain. I know what it means to have somebody else's energy put on to me and the consequences that that could incur. I will never get a robot hand. If I lose my hand, I would rather get a hook or a blade or something, like an iron fist. I will never get a robot hand. Once my arm goes, it's gone. Okay, I'm not going to be Luke Skywalker. I'm okay with the fact that I am handless from now on. If I go blind, it's the way it is. I'm not going to fight it. I don't want robot eyes. I don't want those eyes to be hacked by some Hyperborean naysayer, somebody who does not like what I say on my channel. They're going to hack my eyes. What are they going to feed into my brain directly? Some horrible images. I don't need that in my life. Okay, I will go blind. I will accept my fate. This wanting and needing to eliminate physical and mental limitations erodes the Hyperborean ethos of heroism. You foster dependency and complacency on a technological construct. It's the same with the performance enhancing drug people, right? Once you're on the bottle, once you're on the TRT, forever will it dominate your destiny. You can't go back off. Your testosterone levels are tied now to that. Similarly with the techno occultists, once you're jacked into the matrix at that extent, there's no going back, and you're forever entwined to that world. And if some sort of cataclysm or Ragnarok or catastrophe or takeover or some SHTF scenario takes place, you're not getting out. You're going to have Google Maps on your person. They're going to be able to track you wherever you go, and you are locked in forever. And a lot of people want to be locked in. That's the thing. I know if this happens, I'm not going to be able to stop it. I know that there are going to be people who opt in. I'm just giving my perspective on the matter because I do not want to be a robot. I don't want to be Darth Vader. I don't want to be a technological terror, because let me tell you something. This technological terror you constructed is insignificant next to the power of Vril. Death is transformation. It shouldn't be seen as an end. Death is only the beginning. We, as a culture, we are so utterly afraid to even talk about death. Have you noticed this? Even if somebody dies, you can't even talk to somebody about it. You can't even mention it. How dare you even bring up the fact that life in this fairy tale Disneyland is impermanent? I'm sure you've experienced this. Maybe you've experienced the death of a loved one, of a close loved one, like I have, and people, they just cannot grasp it. They can't bring it up. They can't talk about it. They can't even utter the fact that something like this has even transpired, because it just shatters their notion that this is never Neverland and we're all going to make it out somehow. We're so disconnected from this aspect of life now that we are deluding ourselves with this notion of transhumanism. And I think it's because death has become such a taboo aspect of our cosmopolitan culture, where you have to have this mindset of infinite consumption, and death ends at infinity. So therefore, let's pretend like it doesn't happen. And let's never mention it before, and let's have these delusions of grandeur where we're just going to ascend it, and we're going to go to Mars with Elon Musk, guys. Okay, we're going to go to Mars. That's how we're escaping our problems here in Midgard, and we're just going to brush them. We're just going to stack all the trash into the closet and we're just going to pack up and take our stuff to Mars. Short-term gains have long-term consequences. Sure, you have your eye that you plucked out, and instead of getting the knowledge of the runes, now you have access to high-speed internet directly into your eyeball that you can stream 8K in. But now you have the long-term consequence of that. You're not fully understanding the spiritual, societal, and even the ecological consequences of human beings not dying. That sounds like a nightmare to me. I seem to be one of the few people who appreciate the fact that human beings are contracting and that we're not going to be tripling our numbers. In fact, the birth decline, this great contraction is happening. If the great contraction doesn't happen and we have longer living human beings, we're going to be living in a rat-packed world. I, for one, enjoy a low population density. I like my space. I like when traffic is not overbearing. And if people stop dying at age 80, even these short-term gains to, we live to 120 or we live to 150, it's going to create immense problems. But of course, our hubris, our modern cosmopolitan hubris, we're overreaching like Icarus, thinking that we can just control everything, trying to surpass Hyperborean law instead of align with it. We think, well, we can just play with our own biology and we can just ascend past all this creation and take it into our own hands. Look what we've done when we've taken things into our own hands in the past 50 years, even. We have entire continents now that can't even manage their own waste systems, and we think that we can control our own lifespans. But when people have lost their identity, they have become so deracinated where they don't even feel human anymore. They don't even know what it means to be human anymore. It doesn't really surprise me that people think that they can ascend their human essence and become a robot or a cyborg. Now, I'm not anti-tech, and by any means, I think tech is great, but I think we have to use technology like a tool, like a hammer, not be the tool, not be the technology. Technology is great, it's wonderful, it's Hyperborean. It is something that is part of our story, but to turn into technology, to be technology, that is a very different thing. And I will not become a cyborg. Strength comes from internal fortitude, in alignment with the Hyperborean powers. By surrendering to machines, we risk becoming just mere tools for the systems. That's another thing. Who's going to be making these technological terrors? Elon Musk. I know he's being raised up as a great savior right now, and he is being hailed as the Mr. Freedom, Mr. Arbiter of free speech. He's going to take us to Mars. He's going to give us life extension technology. While he plays Diablo 3, he's plotting the very cornerstones of the next iteration of humanity. But I have questions because I don't fall into these camps so easily of good guys and bad guys. I just look at the fruits of his labor. Tesla. I know people who drive these machines. Not a fan, personally. Yeah, they're fast. They got some horsepower behind them. That's cool. I like that. I like powerful machines like that. But these machines are kind of like the McDonald's of machines. You can't really repair them yourselves. You can't really modify them yourselves. It's like an Apple phone of cars. It's just this stock, locked in stock type of deal where it's become so finangled to a degree where you have to go to Daddy Tesla in order for you to have any say in the matter of your own product. I'm not against electric vehicles or technology in principle. Okay, I'm not this chud gearhead who just snobbishly turns up my nose because it happens to be electricity. I like power, but it's clearly controlled. It's clearly McDonald's tier technology. It's a product. It's not even technology. And so, judging him by the fruits of his labor, I have a lot of questions. So I would say choose mortality, choose life, choose death. Don't choose some technological vampirism that they're trying to push onto you. Even the gods envy our mortality. Mortality gives us the fire to act, the will to drive on, the ever pursuing tendencies within us. As long as we have that clock ticking, as long as we're forever facing the void of the unknown, we will always have something pushing us on. The elves, their mortality was not there. They were immortal and they envied humans. They envied the Numenorians because the Numenorians were creating these great works while the elves could not act as passionately, as quickly because they were so old and endless and boundless that to get them to act was an ordeal. To get them to have that drive of forward motion was difficult because of the inertia of their immortality drove them to stagnation, and that's why they had to leave. That's why men overtook their title of keepers of Middle Earth.